Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Leaders Dojo. It's another Tuesday evening, and I'm here back with you to talk about leadership, branding, and communications and how it all links together. Tonight, we're going to have a very, very interesting conversation with one of the LinkedIn, well, can I say superstar? Koh Han, who's been doing great things here on LinkedIn and become quite a influencer here. But before we move along, let me just introduce myself. So for those of you who are still not so familiar with me, my name is Chee-Seng. I'm the host of the Leaders Dojo, and I've been a writer for almost 25 years now. And recently, I moved to training as a content writing trainer and as well as a thought leaders coach. I do this with a few of my friends. We started an outfit called Communications Leadership Academy earlier this year. So the way we approach training in CLA is really important because we believe that communications, leadership, branding really links together. In this world today, we can't so easily separate the functions. So for companies to really be effective in their communications or to be really effective in their leadership, they need to know how to combine all these three things together for total success in the company. So that's why we have Cafe on board, who's the culture and leadership expert. We have Andy, who is the strategic communications expert. We have Shen Feng, who's the digital marketing and branding expert, and myself, Chee-Seng, who is the content and thought leadership expert. All right, and that's where this show comes in, because we want to talk about leadership, communication, and branding and how it all links together. So I come from a branding and communications background, but I've also been a teacher for the past 25 years, and I see the landscape of communications and branding have shifted because people are not so easily ready to accept whatever message that comes to them at face value anymore, right? They want to see the reality behind it. The only way for the reality behind it to happen is for the brand culture to be real, authentic. And the only way for the brand culture to be authentic is to have real, genuine leadership behind it. So that's why we say leadership, communication, branding has to be very integrated today. And to talk to me about one part of leadership today will be Han. As I mentioned, a great influencer here on LinkedIn. I've seen him do his feature his Prime for Success initiative on LinkedIn a few times before, and I'm really, really impressed about it. Mentorship of young people has been something that I've been doing for the past 25 to 30 years, and I really admire what he does. So Han is the founder and principal consultant of Change Dynamics Consulting. Before this, he was with PwC Consulting and has 15 years experience in leading diverse management consulting and training assignments across different industries. So he founded Prime for Success, a movement that seeks to enhance the employability of Malaysian graduates with more than 1,000 participants over 35 sessions. So that's pretty impressive. So I'm going to bring him online. Hi, Han.
Hey, hi, Chee-Seng. Hi. And hi,
Yeah, I'm
everybody.
so glad you're here joining me tonight and talking about this very, very important topic.
My great pleasure. My great pleasure.
Yeah, we were just having a conversation just now, about the need for mentoring young employees, and I think there is still going on some debate now, right?
Mm,
Whether it's whose job is it to get employees ready and employable, right? Is it the
yeah.
parents? Is it the universities or schools, or is it the employers? Right. Before we go into that, let's say hi to a few people. Hi, Unjay. Good evening, Michelle. Can't wait. Wow. glad to see. Good to see so much excitement. Hi, Chimin. All our regulars are here. Hi, Yat Hong,
Hey,
Chee-Seng, and
Atom.
Muhan. Yep. Wow, Muhan, you are able to type on the LinkedIn. Great.
While you were introducing, yeah, so I thought,
Yeah, if you see me looking down like this, I'm actually holding a phone in my hand and trying to figure out how to respond to you. Right. So don't think I'm rude. I'm just I because StreamYard doesn't allow me to reply to you directly on LinkedIn.
yeah,
Hi,
sure.
Husni. Chris. Hi. Wow, Chief Chee-Seng and Muhan. Chief Muhan lah. Chee-Seng is the Muhan's matai. James. Hi. Apa kabar? Yasmin. Good to see you. All right. So Rajuna, hi. All right. So to kick off, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Muhan?
Sure.
What's your background and what's your experience like so far, as a personally or career wise? Do let us know.
Sure. Sure. So thank you once again for this great opportunity to be on your show, Jiseng. I've been not watching weekly lah, but watching here and there whenever I can find the time, and always find that it's definitely a great way to reach out to different audiences, and the topics that discuss is indeed very, very valuable,
Hmm.
especially those in leadership positions as well, or those aspiring to be leaders. I think as your show name really suggests the
Yeah.
dojo, which is very important.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, maybe a quick introduction about myself for those who don't know me. I think a lot of friends who come in here that I know them and they also know me. But by vocation, I think I don't use the word vocation. I'm a management consultant, right? But this word is overly abused lah. So especially a word consultant, I think everybody is known as a consultant, and consultants don't necessarily have a good reputation in the market,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Consultants.
yeah, yeah. So first we insult, then we con you. That's what they always say about us. But no, just to give some perspective, I help organizations as well as even individuals to look at how to become better at what they do, lah. Either from a process perspective, system alignment perspective, or even a personal capability development perspective. So I niche out in three areas, mainly talent management, change management, which is a core,
Mm.
especially for big IT project rollout, and also in the area of performance and rewards. So that is basically the kind of work that I do, and I cut across different industry, different size companies, small, medium enterprises. That's why I can tell some stories about them. Multinationals, government-linked companies, even
Mm.
government agencies for my change management work, because they implement quite a bit of new systems and there's a lot of changes needed. I didn't start my career in this line. I started my career in FMCG, fast
Mm.
moving consumer goods. Used to manage a factory that packed milk powder. So the other core competency I have is I have quite a bit of understanding and knowledge about milk powder and milk powder packing, right? So used to worked for a multinational called Lee and Fong. They are a Hong Kong multinational, and they used to own, they just sold it off a few years back, one of the biggest OEM manufacturer for food, beverages, OTC, over-the-counter pharma, and also personal care lah. So that factory has about 46 lines, production lines, and we covered, I think, more than 15 big principals. So serving people like GlaxoSmithKline, because I was packing their Horlicks at my plant. People like Fonterra packing Fernleaf and Lean milk powder, F&N Dairies, the milk powder, F&N milk powder, which very interestingly only sells in Sabah and Sarawak. Malaysia, West Malaysia, don't seem to have a presence.
Oh, why?
And so very interesting that certain food products works very well in Sabah, Sarawak, but not in Peninsula. And I think vice versa in that sense. And the last big one was having in my plant was actually Quaker Oats, Quaker Frito-Lay. So yeah, so that's how I started my career. Being a factory man, 14 to 16 hours a day in the factory wasn't a stretch. So after 5 years of doing that, I say, probably I cannot run another 20 years like that. I see all my seniors like dropping like flies one by one,
Goodness.
So I say, I don't think I can live that kind of life because it was quite intense, And being an OEM, the good thing is you don't work for one multinational, you simultaneously work for 5 multinationals. So it was very, very steep learning curve, but good learning curve, but very steep. So when I decided to move on, I was roughly what I call in between jobs. I didn't decide what I want to do next. And I know I don't want to become a factory person anymore, but in between, don't know what to do. So I had my first try of a business. And interestingly, because after 5 years of running a factory, so the first business that I get into is to run a factory.
So ironic.
Very ironic, right? You say you don't want to do that, but because I mean there was an opportunity but that opportunity turned out to be very expensive. Within 9 months, I had to close the factory and
Wow.
rack up like a 6-figure debt or something like that. But
Wow.
you are in business. I think that is that is part and parcel of entrepreneurship, and luckily then was not too young, was coming to late 20s, almost 30-year-old already. So within 9 months, everything bunkus in that sense, and learn the few most expensive
Wow,
business
that is a
lessons.
life lesson, man. 30 years old already 6 figures in the hole. Wow. Anybody can challenge or not? Maybe put it into
The
the
good
comment
thing
box.
is because I worked so hard that 9 months, I lost significant weight. So I'm like, I think I lost 1/3 of what you see today, then. But after that, gain it back. That's the only positive thing I can look at it. But of course, the lessons were very important. And that is where I started to work for a friend running his business as an operations guy. So this guy got multiple odd kind of business. It's a mix of different businesses which I don't want to go into because it's very, very interesting and too interesting that you see, what, Muihan, you done such thing before? So that is another conversation for another day, right? Then I met my mentor, right? So one of the reasons why Pride from Success come about is also of this mentoring journey that I've had with my mentor. So my
Right.
mentor runs exact same consulting training business that I do today. And in that meeting, he said, hey, what are you doing? And then I told him my situation. Then he said, oh, then I do a bit of leadership training. Do you want to come look see? Then I say, okay, come look see. Then, okay, he said, I got a big job in this big conglomerate. He was one of the big Malaysian conglomerates. I will not name which one. He was running almost like 30 runs of leadership program because this
Wow.
conglomerate wanted to train all their managers or their leaders. So I think easily about 1,000 managers went through his program. And every run was about 25 to 30 packs.
Wow.
So I got a chance to sit in 2 session 2 times 2 is like 4 day session really like an observer apprentice, do nothing,
Mm.
just watch, take notes, Then after session, ask mentor some question. Then my mentor very fast one. Then finish the second day, they say, okay, which one you like, which one you think you can do? And me being me, say, okay, this one can do. So just to put in context, my mentor actually don't need me to work for him, or I
Mm.
wasn't even bringing value to the job. Because I really imagine factory person suddenly
Mm.
become corporate training. And these are more
And
senior level.
after your second session already, which
uh,
one you want to take?
so he just wanted to give me a try, and
Mm.
he was side by side to handhold me lah. And in case I say something stupid or make a boo boo, then he will come and rescue the day lah. A
Mm.
typical big seafood lah, which I'm very very indebted to lah. So, and that is how it all started lah. And subsequently, very very kind of him even to give me opportunity to say that, I still got a lot of this. Maybe we have an arrangement where you can come and do some work. Actually, I don't feel like I'm contributing, but but yeah lah. So I follow him around, and he pay me for it. He give me a very reasonable day rate lah, in that sense, to say
Mm.
that every time you join, it's like the training business, you understand, right?
Mm.
But I feel that I wasn't creating value because I'm junior, no nuts about this, and things
Mm.
like that. But learning on the job, learning on the job. And subsequently, then one of his ex-colleagues also started his own boutique firm. And this
Mm.
guy wanted to hire lah. He cannot work alone. So my mentor actually don't need me because his
Mm.
wife is also part of the business. Then they got another person that works for them. So I'm an additional surplus. But out of
Mm.
kindness to help me to learn and give me opportunity to see, I was tagging along for, I think, close to 18 months lah. Not
Wow.
not full time, but off on, off on. And every time I go, I get paid one. It's like how to get
Mm.
such deal, right? So that's how it all started lah. And then they say the rest is history lah. So I spent time working for that guy for many, I think, close to 5 years. Then I moved on to a regional firm in Indonesia. Last job before I come out setting up my own was with PwC lah. So
Mm.
I can say I owe my vocation, what I do today, to my mentor, because he's the one that opened up my eyes that this is a possibility, which I never thought it was lah. I think I was very much like you in the younger days, do a bit of youth development work, run some
Mm.
youth camps and all. I enjoyed training and attending training and doing training, but
Mm.
never in my mind I thought I will make it a career or even a business out of it
Mm.
until I met the mentor. So that is in a nutshell. Right.
Right. Hey, but you would label yourself as a consultant more or as a trainer more now?
So the thing is, actually I enjoy doing training, but
Mm.
I also realize because training, I mean, no disrespect to trainers out there, you is a very good gig for that 2 or 3 days, whichever module that applies.
Mm.
And this is where the Malaysian problem is. If your chao kway teow is good, right? Everybody just want to come and eat your chao kway teow. And I always empathize with the chao kway teow seller because every day he cook that 200 plates of the same chao kway teow. There's no variation in the job. So it's not that. It's not that. I also realized because I came out earlier in my, how to say, corporate life. I mean, I only spent like effectively about 6 years in a corporate environment. That was even in a manufacturing environment. So I feel that the only way for me to enhance my training capability is to have more contact time with senior corporate people or to be
Mm.
in a corporate environment.
Mm.
And I can achieve that through consulting. Because every
Mm.
time we go into a consulting project is long term, 6 months, 8 months, sometimes 12 months.
Yeah.
And inevitably, although you don't work for that organization, but if you are there for 8 months, 12 months, you know the story lah.
Yeah.
You understand the story, you understand the politics, you
Mm.
watch the behaviors, you see the limitations and things like that. And that's how I learn. And with that learning, it enhances my training. So when I go for training these days, or when I do training these days, I can give more relatable examples or stories in the
Mm.
corporate environment because of my consulting work. Yeah,
Mm.
so that's how it balances up lah, to a certain extent.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're double tracking lah, consulting and also training. Right.
I would say that, and training also quite specific. That one, two things that I like to do and keep doing. So, can be more adventurous. One can be more adventurous, but sometimes also think, the training market is quite saturated as well, quite
Mm.
quite challenging, and sometimes
Yep.
So depending on the opportunity.
Okay. So actually that leads to my next question. What
Mm,
prompted you to start Prime for Success? Because you did mention that your mentor last time, but that was like years ago lah, that provided the seed. But what prompted you to really move
mm.
forward with this one?
So in our consulting business, especially doing corporate consulting as a management consultant, there is always a cyclic lah. No, just
Hmm.
ignore the COVID intervention. I
Hmm.
call it an intervention because COVID disrupt the cycle. But under a normal cycle, we actively do work or do delivery work from somewhere between end February or March all the way up to November maximum.
Hmm.
December is always a downtime because everybody is clearing their leave, going for holidays, and Christmas around the corner. Then
Hmm.
January, please don't go and talk to your client because everybody very fun, just starting the year, they don't know what to do, they need to coordinate their stuff. And then by the time they settle a bit down, then Chinese New Year. So effectively, everything need to happen after Chap Gome lah. Don't go and kacau
Hmm.
people in that sense. So definitely there's downtime that 3 months.
Hmm.
And for the first few years, I do different thing lor. Either to upgrade myself, go for courses, or even to upgrade some of my materials, or to do some research, or even to do some longer term business development work. But I realized that BD work or even sales work don't happen. No matter
Hmm.
how you entertain or how you connect and whatever, sorry, don't disturb me. I'm really too busy. So after a while, I realized I got a downtime. And at the same time, being in the HR world, one of the most common feedback or grievances that I get from my clients or potential client is how bad the younger generation workforce is, or how deteriorating it is year after year. And
Hmm.
I come to terms with it. I think every generation got this grievances with the younger generation or with the next younger generation. I remember when I first came out to work, my seniors say, "Oh, your generation really
Yeah,
hopeless."
yeah, yeah. It's not new. When I came out also 25 years
You
ago.
know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
So after a while, if you to be very objective, yeah, I think every generation, you know, compares themselves to the next one and feel that, you guys are too privileged, you're entitled and all the same words lah, or they use different
Hmm.
meanings to it and things like that. But but on the other hand, you also know that youth unemployment is a real issue,
Hmm.
and graduates are not getting their job. So there was a big demand among my clients or prospective clients to say that, hey, it's so hard to find talent these days, almost impossible. But at the same time, you got this big bunch of people who say, hey, actually, I tried and tried and tried and couldn't get a job. And because of my prior youth development work, I can speak to university students. I
Hmm.
used to teach secondaries. I mean, I used to run camps for secondary school students. But when I
Hmm.
hit my 30s, wow, my wavelength just
Hmm.
I'm not those what you call evergreen trainers. I got some friends, even when they are 50s, 60s, they still can teach teens. I cannot.
Hmm.
Somehow or other, I lose that touch when I hit 30. So, but with university student, okay, because they have some kind of maturity, not very
Hmm.
mature, but mature enough to still understand some kind of things that I want to share. So I say, okay, maybe do some CSR lor.
Hmm.
Downtime 3 months, go into university. And public university starts in September. and
Mm.
October, goes all the way up to March or April. So it coincides very nicely lah, that December, November, December, January, they are fully active. So I
Mm.
started to go into university lah. That is another story lah, because got a lot of trials and tribulation, trying to get myself even to get people to agree to me for run sessions and workshops. So I was running workshops, and of course I was focusing to teach undergraduates how to use LinkedIn to enhance their employability. All right, in that sense. But I come to realize actually it's not so much of those who have attended my session, they understand it's not so much of having the perfect LinkedIn profile, or it's not so much of understanding the LinkedIn algorithm and so on and so
Mm.
forth. I think for undergraduates or fresh graduates trying to look for a job using LinkedIn, those
Mm.
things are important, but they are not, how to say, a breakthrough. To me,
Mm.
the breakthrough is really using LinkedIn as a platform to do professional networking.
Mm.
And early on, I come to the hypothesis lah, to say that in order for young graduates to secure better employment or greater employability, they need to start enhancing their, how to say, conversation skills with professional managers or with corporate people. And the
Wait,
more
when was
contact
this?
time they have, sorry,
When was this?
this was in 2017, yeah,
Wow,
end of
2017. You're
2017.
already telling people get active on LinkedIn.
2017, I wanted to do some CSR in the university, and I
Ah.
was searching what topics to share, because there were a lot of career coaches, there were a lot of CV, how to say, CV coaches, there was a lot of
Mm.
grooming coaches and things like that. And there was this very funny. I was in one public university. So this public university very how to say, they are very partner driven. So every
Mm.
quarter, the vice chancellor hosts a luncheon with all
Mm.
their university partners. So these are partners that come to the university to either deliver talks or deliver programs to
Mm.
help their students to become more employable. And I think it's one of the best. I mean, very well run. I mean, don't mind sharing the university, because this is a good thing. Is UCAM, National University
Mm.
Kebangsaan Malaysia. So UCAM, I personally find, has one of a very good graduate employability programs, or their career center is very active, and their
Mm.
vice chancellor then, I think now I have moved two other vice chancellor, but their vice chancellor then had a quarterly luncheon with all these business partners. So because of my busybodiness, I got invited to one of these lah, in that sense lah. And I still remember it was a just to share this so that you can get the context of it, and then you understand why our country is in such a dire need. So it was a Wednesday morning. The luncheon started at 11:30 all the way up to 1:30. Okay.
Mm.
So with all the speeches and presentation, blah, 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 and then with lunch, and then it's a networking session. When I went to the campus, oh my goodness, it was full of people, like easily 80 providers are there, No, then I was asking myself, what happens on a Wednesday morning that only why are all these people here in that sense? Then I only come to realize, actually, for graduate employability, there is not a significant budget, but there is a budget for it assigned
Mm.
by the ministry. And these are all providers. Anything under the sun that you can think of to enhance graduate employability, they are there, right?
Mm.
And that is where I come to my realization why I couldn't get people to agree for me to run CSR, because
Mm.
I sound like a con man. Everybody charge the fee. Then suddenly say, I do for free one, no problem. Then everybody was trying to say that, what game are you trying to play, and things like that. But anyway, that is a much longer story and debate some other time. So that is how I started run sessions in university. And I was trying to coax these university students to say that, LinkedIn is not a job portal. It's not a digital CV. I think that is the biggest misconception.
Mm.
Many people looking for LinkedIn coaches to perfect their LinkedIn profile, then put it there, and then automatically recruiters or hiring managers will come like ants, to come and find you, and offer
Mm.
them a job or a job interview. I said that doesn't happen. Or if it happens, it's the
In
very,
the
very minute,
in the
very, very
perfect world
minute.
lah, it will happen lah.
Yes. So I say it is actually a very good vehicle for people to do networking. As how we have network.
Mm.
I mean, the audience probably know both of us have not met face to face, and
Yeah, today is the first
and we've
time,
been
man.
and we've been
No, today is
connecting.
the
I
first
mean,
time we're actually having a conversation. We
yeah.
still haven't met face
Although,
to face.
yes. So in the same way, I was trying to encourage undergraduates to do that, because I say in this intense competition for employment, uh, the only way for you to stand out is actually to get to know corporate people. And by knowing corporate people, you start to understand their thinking, their mindset, their language. And that itself, the process of just association, increases your business or corporate maturity.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the secret of success for graduate employability.
Mm.
So for 3 years, I went like a broken record law. I say, hey, got to make effort. No, you are very active in university, but don't do shocks and deep, because I get very frustrated. I go there, all the university students say, I'm very busy. Don't come and disturb me. I'm very busy. You can't see my programs, my extra curriculum, 1 to 8 to Z. Yes. So given, I will say 95% of the university students are very active. They do a lot of projects and programs.
Mm.
But when you start to analyze people's sense, I mean, I'm not trying to pour cold water, but a lot of these projects are, or even activities, are still very what we call shocks and diri, or playing in a what we call own backyard kind of program.
Mm.
I say no point running year in, year out annual dinners, dinners for your seniors, dinners for your lecturers. I think gratitude is a good thing,
Mm.
but I say there's no significant value for you to keep organizing dinners. So if you've done it once in your 4 years, enough, move on to another activity. But I find that students get caught up in doing that over and over again over the
Yeah.
in the 4 years, and then there's no much transferable skill. So I say, if you like to organize dinner, why don't you organize dinner for the 50 CEOs in Klang Valley? The very fact if you can invite them to come is a great, it's a great achievement itself, or it's a great learning process itself, right? So
Yeah.
so these are the things which I observe quite a bit, and that's my thing. So I've been keep emphasizing, like, hey, please lah, go and talk to corporate people, network with them, get to know them, have conversation. But as usual, the percentage that jump into this idea, very, very little, very, very little.
Yeah.
So finally, okay lah, this year when COVID seemed to be prolonged and everybody quite familiar with virtual meetings, Prime for Success gave birth in January lah. So
Right.
if there's no pandemic, I don't think I can kick Prime for Success off, because for the last 3 years, I was thinking to do something like that. But just thinking of meeting every Friday in a physical locality,
Mm.
which place I need to book, how I'm going to get people to
Yeah.
commit to come, whether I should give food or don't give food, give water or don't give water. All this consideration became a logistical nightmare lah. And
Correct.
for the first 6 months, I was a one-man show lah. I was a one-man show all the way in that sense. So, but with virtual meetup, yeah, we ran our 36 session 2 weeks ago. This
Mm.
Friday will be 37 session. And amazingly, I can tell you, and I don't mind sharing this in LinkedIn Live, because there's a lot of our mentors who are also listening. I have active 37 mentors on our movement in that sense. And I can safely say I didn't do any vetting, no strict vetting and whatever. But generally, the people are with us are really here to pay it forward. So they really come in without expectation. There
Mm.
is no hidden agenda. Nobody is trying to sell anything, and so on and so forth. For the
Because your
last
vision, right?
40 weeks, I would say. And,
People
and it
people
became
have caught your vision.
and it became so big that we have to stop we have to stop mentors from coming in, because I was telling you earlier, I now don't have a mentors issue. I got a mentees issue. You don't have
Mentees
enough
issue.
participants.
Not enough.
To be fair, is we do have about 40, 50 participants every Friday lah.
Hmm.
But if I'm going to have, let's say, 20 or 25 mentors, is 1 to 2 already. And if I
Hmm.
keep bringing in mentors, So one of the things that we did in August also, we was trying to tell all the mentors, can you take rotation? 1 week come, 1 week don't come. Then I also got a few mentors who say, not fair lah, Muihan, the week I don't come, I don't know what to do.
Your vision, your vision so strong, man. Okay,
So
let's
it's
take a question from Husni. Any pinch points you mentioned just now CSR, right? Any pinch points in running such as CSR or pay it forward initiative?
I think pinch in the sense is really having the consistency to see something through lah, and really to prove that you are genuine in the direction in that sense. In fact, even when running sessions in a university, so got two groups of people, my friends and family lah. So one group thing, I strike some major contract with the government. Like every week you are in university running a workshop, wow, like so they start running some magical numbers up their head, to say that wow, this guy like hit it very big. Then when I say that actually no, it's CSR lah. I hardly some give some kind of how I call honorarium, but most don't. In fact, I have universities even far away up north or even in East Malaysia. Yeah, they just ask me and I come, and they didn't even reimburse travel sometimes,
Wow.
but I'm still there, right? So when I told them that, then they get very worried for me, Then I got a very concerned group of people who start to counsel me to say, no, Muihan, I know you're good-hearted, but you must think for yourself, business is very tough these days, and so on and so forth. So it was quite a bit of confusion, for a lot of people. And you mentioned my LinkedIn presence. There's also another confusion because I do this a lot. Then I use LinkedIn to promote it. And when I use LinkedIn to promote it, then people think this is my business. Then when I say this is not my business, then people get very confused. Like, okay, what are you trying to do? So yeah, if I can answer Husni's question, was very hard to convince what I wanted to do lah, for the longest time ever. And yes, and along the way, I have many allies who saw the true focus, and then as well as eventually then became very strong supporters.
Okay, let's move to our next question. How important is it for Malaysian companies to provide mentoring for young employees? I mean, in your experience, in your both in your working experience and in your work with students.
I think the challenge with most fresh graduates or even any new entry staff, anybody transitioning from the education, I mean the study world to the working world, I always say that the first 6 months or the first 12 months rather, is a big culture shock in that sense. And a lot of people learn the hard way, including myself. I can still remember my time in the factory was so challenging in that sense. So I feel that this particular trend is quite consistent from industry to industry, university to university, and young people that I talk to. So two things will happen. One belief is that the strong will survive, the weak will wither away, So if you don't understand the culture, I cannot stand the culture, then you pandai, then withdraw yourself and resign, by the end of the probation. Or if you can swim with us, then therefore you're one of us, and things like that. I think that holds true for quite some time, but with the current changing of business environment and the dynamics of it, in that sense, I really think there is actually no choice but for employers to accelerate the transition. Okay,
What's the change
and
of
then
environment? Just curious. What's the change of environment that you see?
I think to start with, there is a lot of opportunities with I mean our local world, or things like that you want to call it lah. And with that, actually, we need a much greater workforce. I mean, again, COVID is an anomaly, but even now, post-COVID, I think there are a lot of industry actively hiring, in that
Mm.
sense. In fact, throughout the 18 months of the pandemic, although there was retrenchment, but there were companies were still hiring, in that sense, recruitment didn't stop. So in my mind, I will say that at the end of the day, we cannot run away from young people, because we only come to terms to say that, hey, I don't like this young punk, or this
Mhm.
inexperienced person, blah blah blah. But reality of the fact is, time after time or year after year, they are majority, and as we grow older, we become the minority lah.
Yeah.
So there is no choice but to accept the fact that they are so-called the future, or they will be the bulk of your organization, you know, uh, to a certain extent. So,
Mm.
so, so, in that sense, I would say employers therefore need to be responsible to pave that transition, in that sense, because
Yeah.
or to pave that transition as fast as possible, in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, so KZ says, I think what's most important for young grads nowadays is that finding the purpose to work. That's why most of them hop jobs from time to time, because they don't sense a working purpose which needs to align with their own. So would this be one of the major trends that you see happening?
To be fair, I always say, not only young people hop jobs. In fact, being in being a management consultant, I see the older folks also hop a lot. I think changing jobs in rapid, how to say, trend, between 6 to 18 months is quite a thing of the current environment, and it cut
Mm,
across from the entry level all the way to senior level. I mean, I've seen certain industry senior leadership move every 18 to 24 months. And
mm,
when the senior CEO go to another organization, he bring his entire gang go there, or he selected get go there. So
wow.
it is quite common lah. If I ask, I will say lah. But I will concur with Casey point to say the younger generation, and this is also something we talk about in your training, or in your coaching with your mentoring with youth. You find that the Gen Z and Gen Y, Gen Z and the Alpha are more and more inclined towards looking for purpose and sense of
Mm,
meaning. I think that is something that, because of the exposure, they are able to maybe see things, or they are more in touch with things that is happening around the world.
mm,
But I
correct.
think the only caution that, I think we also talk about this, the only caution about seeing the world through the lenses or through your devices is social media can be very misleading lah, in that sense lah.
Yeah, it tends to skew our view.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So
yeah.
so there are things that may need time for it to manifest, and if you don't have the patience, you actually may not see so-called either the results or even the impact of it. If you don't hang around long enough, I would
But
say that.
actually, if you think about it, when you talk about purpose, I think it's not that the sense of it's not that the young people are looking for a sense of purpose. I think it's that the the s- the idea of purpose have changed over the generations lah. I remember
Mm,
my parents' time, because they grew up very poor, so their purpose was very simple: make money. Anything can
yeah,
make money, just do it, right? So then, to a lot of parents, education is the way to make money, because
yeah,
education will get you a good job, right? So when it came to my generation, I'm Gen X. So we saw, wow, our parents, by the time 40 something years old, got serious disease already because they work so hard, right? So we want to have balance, right? So that was our purpose. We want to have work-life balance. So we want to still make money. We still have that kind of work hard, but we don't want to go all the way to the extreme. We want to come back and have still enjoy our life, right? Then I think that was our purpose lah, balance. But then I think that definition of purpose have changed again in the younger ones, the millennials. Because I guess for millennials, many of the parents are middle class already, comfortable already, right? So money is not a purpose anymore,
yeah,
right? Escaping poverty is not purpose anymore. So the new definition of purpose is what? right? So it has to be meaningful, impactful. So I think it's not so much the sense of purpose for young people. I think it's just that everybody wants to have a sense of purpose. It's just that the definition of purpose have changed lah, according to the social context.
But very interesting point you raised there, and you are right. You are right on one spectrum of the context, because I travel in the last 3 years. I went to, I think, coming to 28 universities, 60% of them public universities and 40% private universities. And I could see this with my own eyes. The maturity level, the expectation level, the drive, among our young undergraduates. So in the private universities, with the exception of the top 10, which is in the so-called Subang area, you know which ones I'm
Mm,
talking about. They fit exactly to what you have just described. All of
mm,
them really starts with a sense of purpose, because they are all from middle upper families. In
mm,
fact, I would say most of their parents say, "Don't worry, don't kill yourself. Find something that until you are happy, then if nevertheless there's always room and board and car and whatever at
mm,
home, right?" So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is I also been to out of Klang Valley public universities. So the
mm,
public universities in Klang Valley are quite okay, because they
mm,
also have quite a bit of exposure, and they are also right smack in the activity zone. So we
mm.
have like too many career fairs until you don't want to go for a career fair anymore, because come career fair season every weekend is one.
Too
You
much
cannot.
choice already, like this
Yeah,
buffet.
but actually, out of Klang Valley, this kind of opportunities are quite limited. In fact, career fairs don't happen besides KL, Penang, JB. I think the
Mm,
rest of the towns and city, even if does nothing near to the size that what you see in Mid Valley or in KLCC type.
mm, mm,
So when I go down the ground and start talking, I find that this group of youngsters, they are very, I would say, naive. They are still very innocent and naive.
mm,
So the extreme side of it is they feel that they are already quite blessed because they are in university, and
mm,
somehow, somewhere, someone sold them the idea that as long as you got a graduate, you are a graduate, you have a degree, you will definitely get a job,
mm.
which leads to different extreme lah, because
Right.
this fellow then
That is
become
like 30 years ago
complacent.
punya song lah.
So he becomes very complacent, he or she become very complacent,
Mm.
to not even think beyond what is needed in the university. Where else the
Right.
overexposed kids say, this one I don't want to do. I know this one crazy job, low level job. I want to
Mm,
find strategic job. Everybody graduate with an idea that I need to find a strategic job. So when I see these two extreme, or these two ends of the spectrum, I become very afraid first, and then later become very sad, because neither of them are helping the country.
mm.
So
Which
given a choice,
is a good lead into the next question. So, what are some of the key issues, for facing Malaysian companies and SMEs when you have all these young employees coming out? And as you described, right, they are on one extreme, very picky because they're used to so many choices, and they have the financial backup. On the other extreme, they are maybe not so strong in their financial backup, but they are very naive. They don't know what the real
mm,
world functions. So how can Malaysian companies reconcile these two extremes, and try and find a way workable to get employable and productive employees, young employees?
so this is the $1 million question, and I think most most owners are trying to understand this. And even when I was in the factory actively recruiting, we also have this challenge. In fact, it came to a point where I told my boss. My boss was, I reporting to the plant manager, and He was a mechanical engineering graduate, if I'm not mistaken. And he likes to recruit engineers. I had to stop here. I say, boss, from this point onwards, stop recruiting engineers because engineers don't fit doing manufacturing because the expectation is very different, engineering, doing engineering design, and things like
Mm.
that. Then when you come to factory, wow, this one really kerja kilang, Then after 6 months, so I told him, stop bringing engineers into our factory because, we are just, it is a big mismatch of expectations in that sense.
Mm.
So if you ask me, I mean, back to your question, I find that at the end of the day, the involvement of the companies, the organization, into the how to say the education system is a must. Ah.
Mm.
So so there are two sides of it. One side of it is the younger generation are also looking for role models. In fact,
Mm.
they get very attracted to certain individuals. That's why the startup community recruits very well. I mean, they recruit very
Mm.
well from both ends, I would say. On this end, they bring
Because of the founder's charisma, is it?
yes, they bring the brightest one in and sell them the vision and the purpose, and then they're very committed together to join them, even though they're a startup, they're a small company, and chances are they are not even giving good compensation or rewards. I mean, being a startup in that sense,
Which is
right?
actually a very interesting point because on the other end of the extreme, you hear young, not just young people lah, but people, but I think especially young people. "Hey, you're not paying me enough to work here, man," or "you're not paying me enough to do this kind of work." But they will also be very happy to, like you say, work for a interesting company for less pay.
Yeah. I mean, because I had a short stint in the startup world, I walk around the ecosystem. I find a lot. I mean, they very successfully hired very young, brilliant minds, and and they work very hard. In fact, these are the people that toil the 18 hours a day,
Mm.
um, and all, And of course, there is a promise of rewards when the company get a next series of funding or even, get a corporate exercise and things like that. But that is also
Mm.
on a longer term basis, lah.
So
And yeah, so
what's the secret sauce, and is it transferable to, more established companies, or especially companies with older bosses lah?
hmm, I think is the ability to actually sell the vision. And I will find that those successful startups, especially in Malaysia, the founders are really good visionary. They are very visionary and they are able to translate their vision to different layers or different generations,
Hmm.
including the younger ones in that sense. Um, the other challenge with more traditional companies is traditional companies types of businesses may be not as sexy as a startup in that sense lah. You know, manufacturing is never a fan with a lot of young people. Construction also very jalat, and things like that.
Hmm.
But these are the things that probably um, two ways of looking at it, lah. Because at the end of the day, it will come. Of course, government policy does impact it. But if there are too many young people who don't want to do this kind of work, then we got no choice but to bring in the foreign talent, lor. Whether it's
Hmm.
the middle level, lower level, or even senior level, so to say.
Which I think is very sad also. But I think, okay, what do you think is the issue here? Because if young people are not willing to start at the entry level and we bring in foreign talents, they start at the entry level, eventually they are going to be the only options left to promote to middle and senior level,
Yeah.
right?
In
So
fact,
what?
in fact, we are also running a very dangerous game because our education sector is quite robust one. We bring in a lot of foreign students. In fact, if you look at the foreign student amount, is quite significant. It's quite
Hmm.
significant. And then, of course, the other side of it is we are protective of the laws. So when I run my sessions, I also meet a lot of foreign students in the different universities, whether private or public. The major number one concerns they always tell me is, I cannot get an internship opportunity because of
mm,
my nationality. Most local employers don't want to hire foreign students as
mm,
intern because they know for sure, even if I'm good to 6 months, they cannot offer me employment because of visa restrictions and things like that.
mm,
So they got no choice either to go back to their home country to do their internship and things like that. So what I'm trying to say is it may come to a tipping point when employers say enough is enough, and they pull a fast one with the government to say that, we got this ready pool of, foreign graduates that is sitting in Malaysia.
mm.
Why not let us hire them if they are more willing to do things that the locals don't want to do lah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think this is really across the board in all industries, because if you talk even technical work lah, not graduates, even technical work like plumbing and all that, you can see now hardly any local young people taking. Right, so I can imagine 15 years from now, or even 10 years from now, when the locals start retiring, hey, the new level of contractors are going to be foreigners. So, and their interest is not to keep money here, right? Their interest is to feed their families back home, and then when they have enough business and technical experience, bring it all back to their home. Finish lah. We are losing brain drain in more ways than one lah.
But I think it's a natural evolution. I mean, most countries come to terms with this. Then, I mean, our closest neighbor, Singapore, is also not free from this issue. Just that,
Yeah, they take our brains ah.
They elevate the game, lor. So they focus on driving higher value kind of work to look at lah. But I mean, if you have pure Singaporean, sorry to say the word pure, I mean, you have friends who grow up or born and grow up in Singapore, they also will tell you that they also have issues with the over influx of foreigners, to the island,
Right,
and
right.
and they are also struggling to balance that lah. Don't talk to Malaysians who become Singaporean lah. They give a very different view. But pure Singapore. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, forgot I'm on live. I shouldn't say something.
It's okay. I got Malaysians who have become Malaysian friends who have become Singaporean also, so I get what you say. No, but what can SMEs do lah? I mean, in terms of the mentoring space, because you have this mismatch of expectations, right? Graduates coming up with a certain level of expectations, but like you mentioned just now, whether we like it or not, this is the talent pool we have now, right? And they are getting more. The elderly are getting, not elderly lah. The seniors are getting less, right? They're moving out to other industries or retirement or whatever. So what can employers do to counter this situation? Especially, I was talking to you just now, right? Because the pendulum is really swinging. Back to Casey's question about purpose, and I don't know whether I'm reading this right, but for the younger ones, the ones who really grew up with a phone in their hand, their minds have been so conditioned by the gadgets, because all these algorithms, all these games, all these gadgets, these apps, social media, they are designed to keep them interested and engaged on the platform.
Yeah.
So the mind has been conditioned to, if it's not interesting, if it's not engaging, I'm not interested. I'm not going to do it, right? And it has to be fast and easy and convenient. So for 15-year-old, 10 years old who are conditioned like this mentally, when they come out 10, 15 years later, so my concern is the pendulum is not only swinging to us in purpose, it's swinging to us interest. If I'm not interested, I'm not going to do it, right?
But that
So
one, I think that scenario that you have painted is what I call the COVID problem lah. It's not
mm,
a Malaysian problem. It's not a Southeast Asian problem. It's a global problem. So whatever you speculate is true. I mean, it is. I mean, that could be inferred in a way that our younger generation get bored, get disinterested very fast
mm,
because of the device conditioning. but it will cut across board lah. So even bringing in a foreign talent won't solve that issue because
Oh
they are
my.
also,
Oh gosh.
they are so equally exposed to the same kind
Which
of
is true.
devices.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would think that that will somehow balance itself out, because at the end of the day, um, reality will still check where we are as a nation or as an industry lah, in that sense. And being business owners, even as a small business owner myself, you will always try to find ways and means to keep your business sustainable. And
Hmm.
at times, that sustainability may take different form, either in terms of automation, in terms of
Hmm.
collaboration and partnerships, and things like that. You know, uh, in fact, in my business, as much as possible, I think how not to hire in that sense. Uh, I mean, multiple reason. Number one, trying to attract the right talent will be always a challenge because we are running such a small outfit. Number
Hmm.
two, able to sustain this person in terms of either uh, attractive compensation or even attractive kind of work is also, I mean, yeah, that will also be a challenge for us, I mean, to be very honest. So in a sense, me and my business partner, for some time, we have decided, no, we run on project basis, and as and when we need, we work with different collaboration partners
Hmm.
to get a thing done. Of course, ideally, if we have our own staff, things get done in a more affordable manner. But that itself is another challenge that we uh, yeah, need to
Well,
manage. And
if
I feel that a lot of business owners are like that as well.
if that's the scenario, then would you say that even basic staff functions would now become part of the gig economy?
I think gig economy need to be understood in a proper context. And I
Hmm.
think, especially for any young friends out there who are listening this, who are not in the gig economy yet. So those are gig economy, I don't doubt you. That means you have found a way and you have sustained yourself and you understand this. But for those who are thinking that, if I don't get a job, I can be in the gig economy needs somebody to have some kind of skill set that produces result.
Hmm.
And to get that kind of skill set, it takes a bit of, not takes a bit, takes a lot of hours of honing and practice.
Hmm.
So if let's say let's say you're 20 years old now, and you think that in 3 years' time you come out, if no job, you become part of the gig economy, you better start practicing the skill now every day for the next 3 years, so that by the third year your skill is actually commercializable, so to
Hmm.
say. If not, it is never the case lah. And as a gigger, if I can use the word, the you are competing with the world. Don't forget, you're competing with the world, with
Hmm.
platforms like the Fivers and the Upworks. You can just look at your competition.
Which then brings back to our current question. So they still need someone who can guide them in their career, right? So how do you have an answer for this or not in terms of
So I
local
think it
businesses?
works both ways. It works both ways, and two need to tango. On one
Hmm.
hand, the more senior, experienced people must be willing to and open to the idea of mentoring people, even if it's not their staff. Just look at it as a nation building agenda. And that's what we
Hmm.
do on a weekly basis on Fridays at Prime for Success. All my mentors come in, got no other vested interest but to help the next generation to do that. So the good news is this, to all the young people out there, whether you are a fresh graduate, undergraduate, uh, 3 to 5 years in your career, there are many experienced Malaysian professionals out there that is willing to help you or to mentor you, quote unquote. I myself is a good testament of, I've seen this with my own eyes in the last 40 weeks. I have never shot a mentor one. In fact, if I do a posting, I will get another 30. I'm very confident.
Hmm.
I have not done that yet. I'm not done that yet, right? Because just
I want to
people
volunteer
introduce
actually. I've been waiting
people
to tell you.
introduce people. I already got, I think, got another 10 on the waiting list already. So
Hmm.
but that is where I think young people also need to step up, because mentors are also like psychologists and and doctors. We cannot help those who don't want to help themselves, if I can borrow the phrase. So
Yeah.
if you are willing to step up to say that, hey, I actually want to do this, but I don't know how, or I want to do this, I know a bit, but I have not come to the level that is monetizable or commercializable. Can you show me the ropes and so and literally coming back to how my own story started. So it takes two to tango. I found somebody who's very willing, open, and things like that. At the same time, I needed to step up. If I was a person, after 2 days, my mentor asked me, so which one you think you can do? I said, yo, this one I don't dare to do. No. Then I lost the opportunity, right? But
Correct.
yeah, I mean, I'm not praising myself, but I'm just using an
Yeah, but it's true.
example.
You really need to come out from the comfort zone to grow, lah.
Correct. So I'm really encouraging all the young ones out there to reach out. And LinkedIn is such a great social tool for you to do professional networking in that sense. And there are many willing professionals out there to guide and support you, on the basis that they are also quite truthful. So some people come to our session, then they come and say, hey, how come the mentor so direct? That is what you need to hear.
Okay, we are at the end of our show. In fact, we are 8 minutes over time. Oh my gosh, the time has just flown by.
Yeah.
Thank you, Muihan. We didn't even get to the last two questions. Thank you, Muihan, for sharing your experience and also your great insights. Any last words before we end the show?
So the last word is for the young people, and also a pitch for our sessions on Prime for Success. So I reiterate, I think I said that earlier. I think the only way for you to elevate your employability is to be in constant contact and constant conversation with professionals and business people. If you are in first year university, you can start networking with professional managers. I bet my last dollar, by the time you graduate, you are in good hands. And if you are second year, don't worry, you still got chance. If you are in third year, it's never too late to start, even though you are in your final year. So don't wait. Don't wait. And most Malaysian university graduates, this is the challenge. I also notice you do one internship in 3 or 4 years. And that is the only window, that 3 months, that you get to know corporate people or corporate culture. Seriously, that is not enough in today's context, right? You need more contact time. And if you don't know where to find it, please visit our Prime for Success page. Every Friday night, we are having a session. There will be a registration link to get your access. It's a 45-minute on a Zoom conversation, small room, one mentor to 2 to 3 mentees. So 45 minutes, you're forced to talk to this experienced professional to get ideas, to build your confidence and maturity. So with that, thank you so much, Chee-Seng, for hosting me tonight.
Thank you, Muihan. And yeah, so you know where to find him. He's already said look at his LinkedIn profile. Okay, so before we go, I just want to give you a preview of our next guest. We are going to have Anwar Jumaboy joining us on the next Leaders Dojo, and he's going to be talking about entrepreneurism mindset, right? How to continually stay relevant in a chaotic world. So I was very, very intrigued about this word entrepreneurism, and so I haven't met Anwar Jumaboy actually. I haven't met Muihan before this. But I was very intrigued when I saw he's posting about entrepreneurism, and I just had to message him and have a chat with him about this. And this is really such an interesting topic, right? Entrepreneurism is not about being a business person, but it's having a mindset that allows you to be agile and adaptable, right? So that you can stay relevant in all times. So I think especially COVID-19 has really, really shown us how important this is, right? So I think this will be a great show for everyone to get into. And I think Muihan also mentioned just now about, young employees also need to play their part, right? to step up and gain mentorship from people. So one of my very very good friends, very old friends, you might have seen him on the show before, Raja Segaran. He will be joining us again, and he's going to be talking about followership, which I think is a great topic that really nobody has. I haven't heard anyone talking about followership before, but it's really really important. But that's, I think, going to be happening in December or January. But keep in mind, next Leaders Dojo, join me as I talk to Anwar Jumaboy. But for tonight, thank you for being with us. Thank you, Muhan, again for sharing your insights. And with that, I wish you a good night.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.